I will now turn it over to Sosa, who is the Executive Director of DevMission.
How's everybody doing this morning? I didn't like that. How's everybody doing? Awesome. All right, so my name is Sosa. I'm the Executive Director for DevMission, but I'm going to bring it back a few years ago. Right behind me, you'll see something real exciting that happened to me back in 1984. Most of you know already what happened in 1984. I landed in San Francisco from a beautiful country called Guatemala. 15 years old. Didn't know anything about the culture, the system, technology, and a beautiful city. I remember myself being grabbed by my brother and say, we gotta go. My brother was in the military. He was about to get killed. Went home, grabbed me, said, grab a backpack. We're going to San Francisco. Oh, okay. What's in San Francisco? He's like, I don't know, but there's a lot of stuff that deals with computers. Okay, sounds good. Landed in San Francisco, and I remember getting picked up from my parents at SFO and seeing the freeway for the first time. Sorry, I'm like a puppy out the window, looking at the freeway. Got home, got excited to see my parents, who left a year before. And my brother said, tomorrow you're going to go enroll at school. Okay, I already graduated from an electronic program in my country. And why do I go back to school? He's like, well, you need to learn the language. And you're going back to high school. I said, okay. Showed up, got accepted into high school, Woodrow Wilson High School, who's no longer there. That high school has been gone. It's now Philip Burton inside Visitation Valley Community. So I'm moving in to the Twin Towers. I'm not sure how much you know about the Twin Towers in Visitation Valley. They were demolished many years ago, but I was living on the 66th floor. Without crying, I'm walking in. I don't know anything about language or anybody. And the first thing my mom tells me is like, whoever you see out there, say hello. Okay, so I'm walking out this elevators, going to the park. I'm saying hello to everybody. They looked at me kind of funny, but I said, okay, it's fine. About 2 weeks later, my brother shows up with a big old box. And he used to work for Korean. This is my other brother. That's the reason why we came. He was a laser technician. He brought a box, and inside that box is what you see right behind me. I got so excited. Can you imagine my eyes trying to figure out what the power button is? I took some classes in my country to take radios apart. But this is completely different, right? And as soon as that computer turns on, all I hear is ding. Okay, I want to learn about this. So started playing with the computer, playing all this kind of games, Math Blaster, Oregon Trail. I'm taking the computer apart, putting it back together, soldering things, and I'm like really excited. Make the story shorter, graduated from high school, and my girlfriend at the time got pregnant. So I had to give up my beautiful computer to start working because I had to support my daughter. My daughter was born, I was going to high school, I was a senior working in Santa Clara at a plastic factory because let's face it, I didn't have any documentation back then. We came here to political asylum, so my permanent residency will be available a few years from then. So I was able to go to school, work, provide support to my daughter, but I was missing working with that computer. I was missing playing with that computer. 10 years later it passed by. Never touched a computer again, never played with computers, never played with technology. I ended up working at Safeway, making good money. I was a checker back in the 90s. And I was making about $25 an hour, really good money. Well, I get injured. I messed up my knee. I was a warehouse working in the back, loader, and something happened, ACL, gone. So the union, Local 648, thankfully say, hey, you got enough funding, you got enough money. That's why I love San Francisco. They say, we'd like to send you to school. Oh, okay. What do you like to do? And I said, well, I remember about 10 years ago, I had a little Mac LC1, and it's pretty sure it's gone, whatever that is, but I'd like to go to school and learn about that. They say, okay. Send me to a full ride to San Francisco City College back in the 90s to get my associate degree in information technology. I was back on track working in tech. Pursued many certifications. I got my A+ certification, Microsoft certification, SQL certification, C++, you name it. I was just getting certifications left and right because I was hungry. I was excited. Now I'm like 24 years old at that time. There are a lot of young people in San Francisco that by the time they're 24, they start writing their first line of code, just to give you some context to what I'm about to say about this conversation. So I was like, wow, I'm really into database. I love SQL. I like to be a data warehouse engineer. So I put my application out there. I wanted to work for Civic and Oracle, and here comes the biggest disappointment. I didn't get the job. Okay, so if you believe diversity in the tech industry is real right now, imagine myself back in the 90s trying to get a job in tech at Oracle. I had the certifications, I had my residency, I had the talent, I had the abilities and the skills to make it happen. And I didn't get that job. I was really disappointed. I was like, whoa, what's going on? Maybe I needed to be born in this country to get that opportunity. I remember talking to my wife at the time, because I got married when I was 25, 26 years old, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but let me figure out how to work in tech. I got a job at Goodwill Industries in San Francisco, and I was their DBA for about 5 years. And I was going around the Bay Area, working with communities, working with their stores, working with employees, just teaching DBA, and helping them out understand how to enter data into a database system. And then one day, I'm like, oh, there's a class at City College that I want to take. And I went to take a class at night, and I remember one night, the teacher didn't show up. So everybody freaked out. All the students, what are we going to do? I don't know what to do. And I'm like, oh, I can teach you guys. Got up there and started teaching a class on SQL. Everybody have fun. I'm a fun kind of guy when I teach. Some of the young people out there, I still teach. I believe I'm the only CEO and executive director that teaches all the time, which is kind of cool. To make the story short, that was overheard by the dean of San Francisco City College, and they say, well, would you like to come and teach? We're trying to build a youth program. I'm like, youth? Oh, okay, I've never worked with youth, but sure, I'll take a look at it. We got a grant from Apple. We got a bunch of Mac LC1s. I built a lab, and I started inviting young people just to come and play around with technology. I saw their eyes. I saw their spark. I saw like, wow. I remember myself 10 years ago doing the same thing these young people are doing right now. And I got sold. And I decided to start thinking about building youth programs from scratch. A year, probably, maybe 3 years later, I launched the first technology program in San Francisco called YouthNet, Admission, Language, and Vocational School. 5 years later, I launched another program called Digital Connectors at One Economy Corporation across the country. More than 1,000 young people learning technology skills. 10 years later, I launched another program in San Francisco called Mission Techies by the Mission Economic Development Agency. So that's already 15 years of youth development experience. And I was like, well, I'm able to raise money for all these nonprofits. I think it's time for me to launch that mission. So a year ago, that mission got started. I put together a team of technologists that have been working with me for many years. From Uber, from Dropbox, from Microsoft, from Twitter, you name it. Startups like Jones IT, TechLeap. I brought them all together and said, listen, we need to make a change in the community. We need to connect the most overlooked population in San Francisco to careers in tech. Some of them say, I don't think it's going to work. And I say, it's going to work. Because in every underserved community in San Francisco, there is a young person ready to learn how to build a website, how to build a mobile app, how to build a web app, how to take a computer apart, how to work with sensors and LED lights and breadboards. All they need is an opportunity. And as we decided to start that mission, we really wanted to try to bring untapped young adults ages 16 to 24 from affordable housing and public housing communities. How many public housing communities are in San Francisco? A lot. It's probably about 30 to 40,000 young people living in those communities that are completely disconnected from being exposed to STEM. So we decided to take action, and we felt that there were two problems. The first problem is at the education level. I'm sorry to say there are educators in here, I apologize. But here's an alarming stat. It's on code.org if you want to pull it up. 90% of parents, like myself, want our kids to pursue STEM careers, but but only 40% of high schools across the country teach STEM subjects. The education system is doing amazing with math and science, but technology and engineering is not being developed. And now with STEAM, it's kind of like getting there. So we realized that all these young people were not being exposed at the high school level, middle school level, and I can go on elementary and K level, not being exposed to STEM. So we felt that that's the #1 problem. Second problem is tech companies are having a hard time bringing diversity to the tech industry. I was part of that 3% Latinos working in tech back in the 90s. Still the same. I think it's like 4 something now, if I'm not mistaken. Most of you probably know better than I do about those stats. But it's still there. Every time I go to a tech company, okay, we gotta do something. And in California, which is really alarming, the population that we have makes more half of the state, the girls, the females. That mission is very inclusive about that. So we saw that this gap was available at both levels, and that's when we decided to make action. We created a best practice movement program that allows young adults ages 16 to 24 to learn wonderful technology skills like hardware, IoT, software, networking, coding, raw coding, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, not Wix, not Squarespace. Believe me, I love those platforms, but we teach actual coding. And they're here today. They're sitting over there. These young people deserve for you guys to put their hands together, please. Our curriculum is a 3-pillar approach, 60 hours of hardware and IoT, 60 hours of intro to programming skills. They build web apps, mobile apps, their own digital portfolios. They use Atom, Visual Studio, CodePen, you name it. That's what they're getting exposed. And when I see their eyes, for the first time they write a first line of code, I just don't know what to say sometimes, but it's amazing. But that's great that young people are being exposed to hard skills. What about soft skills? What about being able to communicate in front of everyone like today? What about learning how to get feedback? How to deal with conflict? How to handle a tough situation? Because I see young people that get a job and then 60 days later they come back and say, Leo, I went off on somebody. Whatever happened to the soft skills? Whatever happened to being patient? What about to being a listener? What about to learning how to give constructive feedback? Do you remember that? Yes, Leo. All right, let's figure out what the next move is going to be. So we understand that young people need to have hard skills and soft skills. Those two need to be combined together at a 50% rate. You can be the greatest engineer out there, but if you don't know how to work with people, it's going to be hard. And young people need to be exposed to that. So as we continue to develop this program, we also identify that young people are hungry. Behind, there's some stats about the program. We're only a year old. We turned a year old on July 6th of 2018. It's crazy, right? But remember my 15-year experience, the network, all the partners that I had, when they found out about that mission, they're like, Leo, I want to get involved. I found out today, I met somebody by the name of Armando that got our website last night. By the way, that website was created by young people in our program. And he said, man, I love the website. Oh, man, you love the website? That's exciting. He's like, I want to get involved. His name is Armando. He's sitting somewhere in the audience. But that just gives you a sense of how many young people have been exposed. But I mentioned there's about 30,000 young people in San Francisco ages 16 to 24 that are not being exposed to a program like Dev Mission. Since we launched, 74 young people have enrolled, 58% have graduated, and the most amazing stat is 50% females. There are 3 today here, Aliyah, Natalie, and Melanie. Melanie was selected as one of the fellows. We're the only program in San Francisco, and I'm going to claim that we have 50% females in our program. And I always tell young men when they walk in, you respect them like you respect your mom. I call powwows. They know what I'm talking about. Every day, at the end of the day, I give them a powwow. And I don't care what I'm doing. I don't care if I'm on the deadline for a grant. I don't care, the mayor shows up at the time I gotta do a powwow. I don't care. I stop for 10 minutes and I try and inspire young people to become the next generation of tech talent. Is it hard? Yes. But these young people need that opportunity. And the most amazing stat is right at the bottom. 25 young people are working in tech jobs. Through internships, through fellowships, through part-time, to full-time. All of them have mentors. All of them give back to the organization. We have students now that are now part of the staff, helping other young people to pursue the same opportunity. That's my contact information if you're really interested to get involved with that organization. But I'm really, really excited to be part of this fellowship program. I want to thank Code for America, Code for SF, Microsoft, who one day heard about Dev Mission. They showed up, they saw the young people, and they got excited. And at the end of the day, I'm sitting in front of you today asking, all of you have a lot of knowledge. There is full stack developers, there is engineers, there is marketing, sales, you name it. It doesn't matter what position you are, it doesn't matter what profession, what degree you have. You need to help untap young adults to pursue the same opportunity you have. These young people need mentors. They need someone to look up to. But the most important thing, they need to be exposed to a career in the tech industry through post-secondary and through employment pathways. So I ask you today to take action, get involved. If you want to learn more about the program, don't ask me. Ask those young men right there. They're the story. They're the reason that I get up every morning, and I still live in Visitation Valley. I live in affordable housing, and I'm proud to say that I live in affordable housing. Why? Because every time I go down the street and I see flowers, I see candles, I see young people that have been gunned down, I remember their face. The first time they opened a computer, the first time they wrote that line of code. And we need to make that change to help these young people pursue a career in the tech industry. And it doesn't mean a $100,000 job. That does not guarantee. But if they can be exposed to a career in the tech industry by being able to know what that is, you'll be doing amazing work. And all it takes sometimes is 30 minutes of your wonderful time. We're all busy, but I encourage you to continue to support programs like Dev Mission. There are a lot. There are a lot of programs in San Francisco. But we're the only program that literally has computer labs and programming inside affordable housing. We're at Valencia Gardens, 360. How many live in the Mission? Raise your hand. Oh, I knew that. It's going to be a few. Okay, that's fine. How many live in Bayview, Hunters Point? Okay. How many live in the Western Addition? Oh, there you go. Those are the 3 programs that we have. And I'm going to wrap it up. I was last week at Yakima. How many of you have heard of Yakima? Nice. I went out there for our first chapter program. And the young people in San Francisco are completely disconnected from the tech industry. Imagine isolated communities like Yakima, like Bakersfield, like Bixby, like the Central Valley. We need to make a change. So with that, I want to thank everyone here today for coming on your Saturday to inspire others, to build, to code, and to share knowledge with everyone inside this room. Thank you very much for having me today. Sorry. Yeah, so excited. Now, since I have 2 minutes, 1 minute, I'm going to introduce someone that is part of Code for SF. He's part of the brigade, and he came one day and said, I'd like to volunteer. I'd like to get involved with Dev Mission. 6 months later, he's part of our board. Not only he's part of our board, but he's also been working very close with the fellowship program. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Francis Lee to introduce the San Francisco Fellows for Code for SF and Dev Mission and Code for America.
try to keep my remarks short. It's a tough act to follow. But again, my name is Francis Lee, and I joined the advisory board for DevMission this summer. And I'm really excited to be helping to facilitate the fellowship program in partnership with Code for San Francisco. As Leo mentioned, I've actually been involved with Code for San Francisco in the past, and I'm excited to be part of it again. It was actually just a couple years ago at the National Day of Civic Hacking that I first became involved. Under what I suspect are similar circumstances to many of you here. I'm a professional software engineer and interaction designer, and I just completed a contract and escaped from working with rather unpleasant high-profile client. You know the type, watch HBO Silicon Valley, you get the picture. And like many of the comments I heard just this last Wednesday, you felt that there has to be more than just collecting your paycheck and satisfying the whims of the Silicon Valley technocracy. I think there's probably not as much time as I thought here, so I'll kind of wrap up quickly and say that although the project that I joined and worked on for many weeks didn't find its fit with the community, I did, though, meet very talented engineers, one of whom would become my first hire at my next startup, and even as we've parted ways to this day, remains a good friend. So regardless of whether your project finds its legs, don't be discouraged, because ultimately, hopefully it's the ties that you make here with the community, with each other, that will persist in the long run. And to that point, when I moved into the Mission neighborhood, which we all know is one of the flashpoints, or perhaps even ground zero for the tech economy, gentrification, and class debate, I felt it was really important to connect not just to the larger community of software engineers and designers and other folk here in this audience, but also back to the local community. So I couldn't be more inspired by the example and the work that Leo and the other volunteers at DevMission have been doing, and especially by the dedication of the students that I've been working with and have gotten to know over the last 6 months. So I hope you'll join me in giving them a round of applause as I introduce the 4 Code for San Francisco fellowship members in partnership with DevMission and sponsored by Microsoft. So without further ado, and I'm going to afterwards give them a chance to briefly introduce themselves. Let me introduce, hope I pronounced this right, Aliyah Stidikova, and unfortunately, Carlos Gomez could not make it here tonight. He sends his apologies, but he's dealing with an emergency. But I'll just give everyone just a chance to briefly introduce themselves to the briefing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Edgar, and I'm part of DevMission, and I am currently going to City College to transfer over to a UC and major in computer science.
Hi, my name is Melanie. I'm 19. I'm also part of DevMission. I will be transferring to UC Davis next fall in computer science, and thank you for having us today.
Hi everyone, my name is Aliyah, and I think like in DevMission everyone has a story, and my story is related to Leo's story. I came to America 2 years ago on my own with a backpack and $400 cash, not knowing anyone, and opportunities like DevMission and other nonprofits were really a big opportunity for me to learn and improve